Hey everybody, welcome back. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, leave comments. Anyway, the topic for the moment is freedom. So I know there are channels out there like Rebel Against Defeat and others who talk about peace, quiet, and freedom. And I'll be honest with you, they're not just onto something. You see, for those of you who've been involved with long-term relationships, you know and understand how being involved with a woman slowly usurps your identity. You lose your identity to the relationship. Now, you have to conform to whatever she wants of you, and it's exactly these things that begin to drive her away from you because your personality is altered from what she was attracted to. So there's been plenty of discussion of that, and it's out there on other channels, and I certainly can recommend some in the description. What I want to talk about, though, is that freedom it translates to other parts of your life as well. Now, some of my channel is dedicated to the romantic side of, I say romantic, I mean the sexual relations, the sexual marketplace, sexual relations between men and women, and so on. But another area where that freedom, you begin to lose it, and I think we as men are particularly susceptible to this because so much of our identity is wrapped up in what we do for a living. So when our job takes over our life, our work, we begin to lose the part of ourselves that likes to explore the world around us in other ways. And I don't just mean like hiking or, physical activity. I mean mental activity, right? Studying, reading, listening to music, participating in art, whether ourselves or vicariously through others and so on. So we begin to lose that part of ourselves. It is given over to work and chasing money. Now, I know I'm not some pie in the sky. I have learned, believe me, folks, I have learned the hard way. Money is important. Money is important, but it's the old adage, right? Work to live, not live to work. And that's where a lot of men, and I included myself in this category, we too often get caught up in the game. So I'll give you a very recent example. So for those of you who are regulars to the channel, you know that I've been on the job hunt since January. And of late, it's picked up a little bit. I've had a couple interviews here and there and, some interest for some of the positions I've applied for. Although I must say I've kind of throttled that back because I don't know if it's whether it's summer vacation or the fact that in my industry this time of year, there's a change in budgets, there's a fiscal year. And so, but anyway, I have had some interest and have had some interviews and so on. So I've been working with a local employer who is interested in hiring somebody interim, and the salary is okay. It's nothing to, you're not going to get rich on it, but it's enough to pay the bills, and there are some limited benefits. Now, the benefits aren't full bore, but also the commitment is part-time, basically, right? There's a commitment of hours that's less than full-time. They have already been talking about moving the interim into a permanent position. And at first, I started to buy into this dialogue of theirs and say, we want a commitment like this and we want a commitment like that. And I guess this is the double entendre of the word commitment, right? Commitment means that you are bound to something, right? That you're bound up, you are trapped. In other words, when they commit you, they stick you in the loony bin, right? They put you in the mental hospital. They put you on the mental ward, the psych ward. So they're already beginning to ask for additional commitments. And, at first I started to buy into it because that's your mentality as a man. It's like, okay, well, this has got potential here and, the salary is decent, the benefits are good. But then, I'm looking at my circumstances and what I was planning on over the next year or so, and that's actually retiring, getting away from the rat race, getting away from work. And again, getting back to the working to live, not living to work mentality. Because honestly, for those of you out there who haven't found out personally yet, and maybe some of you never will, but I know I have, devoting yourself 100% to work, whether the rewards are rich or not, and oftentimes they do not outweigh, the rewards do not outweigh the sacrifices you make. I can say that I've seen it not just in my own life, but in the lives of countless other men that I've had personal experience with. Very rarely do the rewards outweigh the sacrifices that you make. There are occasions where that's true. I guess if you're a finance bro and you work on Wall Street and you retire at 30, okay. Those are rare examples. It's like the professional athlete, rare examples, right? Yeah, sure. You've made a big sacrifice, in your early years, and then you get to cruise the rest of it. You get to be a color commentator, or maybe, sell cars or buy a car dealership or something. The advantages are, or if you invest wisely, just live off of the income. But the fact of the matter is that is a rare exception. That's like winning the lottery. And I think for most of us, we sacrifice and we tell ourselves that this is what we want. We want a house, we want a wife, we want this, we want kids, we want all these things. I got to have this kind of car, I got to have this kind of boat, I got to have, got to have the bass boat, got to have the truck to pull it, like to have a camper, for weekends. And meanwhile, you're adding to the list, your missus is adding to the list, and at the end of the day, you're working. You've got your big monthly subscription fee, which includes all these payments. And even if you're one of the lucky ones who can buy some of this stuff on cash or with cash, you're committed to it. You've got to take care of it. You've got to hire people to maintain it, take it to the shop. It becomes this whole, your life has evolved into something. And if that's what you want, great. That's not what I want. And I've never really wanted these things, and many times I got talked into it. I talked myself into it, or I was with partners. I hate that word. I was with spouses or girlfriends, long-term relationships, who would talk me into it. But the fact of the matter is, these are chains. They're chains here on earth, and they will chain you to permanently. And I do mean permanently, because particularly today with these terms that are offered on these loans, they permanently chain you to being a wage slave. And I don't want that. And I don't need that. The only real responsibility I have on this earth, besides responsibility to myself and to leaving the earth in a better place than what I found it, or as a better place in any little way that I can, and I do mean little way, my own little corner of the world, is my responsibility to my son. Beyond that, I'm not responsible to anyone or for anyone. And so I want to keep it like that. Now, I have been accused in the past where, for many, many years, I was pretty staunch about putting this stuff off. And, I got literally called to my face, Peter Pan. I had Peter Pan syndrome. I had, avoidance complex. You name it. They trot out all these terms and stuff, because basically what society is there to do is to tie you down as a man, to make you a permanent fixture in paying taxes. The system of redistribution of income relies on you generating those funds. And when you no longer generate those funds, well, guess what? You're not useful to the system. So they want you to be useful to the system. So I would encourage you men out there, again, I don't give advice, financial or otherwise, but guard your freedom. I'm trying to guard mine the best I can. And even with my vigilance, I am, I have to double back. And, this morning when I was thinking about it and, exchanging contracts with this employer and so on, I stopped and I was like, well, wait a second here. What am I doing? Where is this going? Why is this all of a sudden getting away from, what I had envisioned, or, what sounded palatable to me at the beginning, all of a sudden no longer sounds like I want a taste of it. So, like I said, I don't really give advice. I just talk about my own life and how I perceive things, how I perceive the world. If somebody out there gets some benefits, or it's relatable to them, great. If not, that's great too. I thank you for listening. Again, I would encourage you, if you could, just tick the like button, consider subscribing if you like the content. I will continue to produce it as long as people tune in and subscribe. And by all means, feel free to leave comments. I thank you. And if some of these jobs don't work out, and I guess I should add this real quick, if some of these jobs don't work out, I'll probably revamp the channel some and actually make it a talking head channel, a walking talking channel, where you might actually get to see my ugly face at some point. At any rate, I thank you all for your attention and your participating in the channel, and I look forward to seeing you all down the road.